I'm Joseph Piper. Welcome to Coming Attractions. Stay tuned. We're going to talk with Bruce Crawford about his next event, which will be his like 50-some event of screening a classic Hollywood film. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. In Omaha on Friday, November 8, 2019 at the Joslin Museum Theater, 2200 Dodge Street, Bruce Crawford will present one of the most successful and beloved comedies in motion picture history, Caddyshack, with special guest actress Cindy Morgan, who played the character of Lacey Underall. Ms. Morgan will speak before the screening, discussing the making of the iconic film and citing autographs for fans. This event marks 27 years of Crawford's screenings. He does about 2 events a year, and that amounts to over 45 screenings, we believe, so far. And most of these events have had some of the legendary actors or artists and craftsmen associated with the film there at the screening to speak. Tickets are $24, and they go on sale Thursday, October 3rd at all Omaha area high-fee food store customer service counters. All tickets are non-refundable donations, and proceeds will benefit Help Adult Services. For more information or to obtain tickets over the phone, call 402-341-6559 or visit www.omahafilmevent.com. Bruce, thanks again for being here today. It's always a pleasure to have you come and talk about these screenings.
Thank you.
So first, talk about, you have a new partnership this time, Help Adult Services. Can you talk about
HELP
that?
stands for Health Equipment and Lawn Care Planning. And they make it possible for people who can't afford wheelchairs, power wheelchairs, and oxygen tanks, and things of that nature, medical equipment, at a very, very reasonable rate or free, depending on what they can afford. And they're a wonderful organization. Been around about, I think, 30 years or better.
Wow.
And this is a good chance to get them some good exposure and raise some funds.
And this is the first time you partner with them to do one of these events. Okay. So Caddyshack. Why Caddyshack?
Well, I thought it was time for another crazy comedy. We did 2 years ago, we did Airplane with Bob Hayes, Robert Hayes. And I thought, well, the only film that could rival that for insane comedy would be the same year's, 1980s, Caddyshack. They're equally popular, crazy, beloved movies. I mean, they're crazy as heck, but people just love these movies. And Caddyshack maybe even has a little edge in some ways over Airplane because there's a lot of golf nuts out there. Pardon me, golf fans. And it just has a great following with the gopher that comes up out of the, the great scenes where he's being blown up, the cute animated, well, not he's hand animated gopher, and the insane comedy, snobs versus slobs. It's kind of a timeless appeal, really.
Is that a genre kind of that came about with this?
It really kind of created that in some ways, because after that you had like Revenge of the Nerds, and it's sort of a slobs versus snobs, and you have a series of films over the years since this time that had that kind of a protagonist.
So what is the precursor to, like, what did this, in terms of classic Hollywood films and classic Hollywood comedies, going back to, I guess, farce, comedy of manners, I guess in a genre, farce, comedy of manners, anarchy, gross out, parody, romantic comedy, screwball, slapstick, is there all those elements in there?
Yeah, pretty much.
On there?
Pretty much.
I read that Harold
Ramis
was a big Marx Brothers fan.
Yes.
So does it come out of that too, like a zany coconut, just kind of Night at the Opera?
It doesn't have to be rational.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be. It's insane. I mean, the stuff that's in this film there's some comedy in it that has a dramatic edge in the sense that it's possible. There's other comedy in it that, of course, is completely irrational and insane. And that was the Marx Brothers trademark.
Sure. So I'm sure he must have been influenced by those kind of
absolutely.
films.
And Mel Brooks, for that matter, too. If Mel Brooks made a comedy about golf, it would have been Caddyshack.
Okay.
In some ways.
Gene Siskel said, "It's funny about half the time it tries to be, which is a pretty good average for a comedy, ranking just under Airplane." And he said this back in 1980 in the Summer's Comedy Sweepstakes. It's a low-budget look that warmly welcomes the all-important teenage audience. It looks like a film they could have made, and everyone associated with the film in front and behind the camera is aware that he or she is making a frivolous film. That's why Rodney Dangerfield's cornball jokes and spritzing barbs are so perfectly right for the film. These are throwaway jokes for a most disposable motion picture, the kind of film that drive-ins were designed to play.
And 40 years later, now it's its disposability has become a classic,
It's kind of a cult classic.
a big classic, and it's of course there are no longer drive-ins to speak of, but yeah, it's interesting to see what people thought at the time, and he liked the film obviously, but it's had such like Airplane. The same thing was said about Airplane. It was a frivolous, crazy drive-in goofball movie. But look at the following these films have. They have a huge following.
So is it a better film today than it was when it was made?
Possibly. It's in a sense.
It's got a sense of
like
time.
like Airplane. It's kind of a period piece.
Yeah.
Airplane takes place all over the place. It has World War II and the 1980s combined, which is bizarre, but because it's insane. But Caddyshack is not quite to that level, but it also has the same kind of screwball comedy about it. It's you can't take it seriously.
Right.
When Bill Murray's trying to blow up the gopher with dynamite and the floating candy bar that people think is something else. It's just hilarious, crazy movie.
There was one critic, I don't know if I pronounced this correctly, Anupama Chopra, film companion from August of 2018, said, "I love the madness in Caddyshack. Caddyshack celebrates the triumph of the underdogs, the eccentrics, and the downright dangerous. The film tells you that the straight and narrow path does not lead to success, and that being bonkers is a good thing. Even the gopher gets a happy ending. Every scene in Caddyshack is permeated by a loose, anarchic energy."
That's very well said. That's absolutely about the best description of the movie I think I've ever heard, because it's exactly what it is. It's organized chaos, but that's what gives it its charm. Because and Rodney Dangerfield, it made him a superstar. I mean, he was already popular and famous, but this really put him on as a box office star.
And he just plays himself.
Plays himself, yeah. But he's the kind of a guy who would be anti-snob. I mean,
sure.
And Ted Knight plays the perfect snob. They are perfectly matched against each other. They really are.
And they kind of make the film.
They are the film.
They are the film.
They really kind of are the movie. It's really about those two men.
So Harold Ramis
Either
was
or,
born in Chicago in 1944. He died in Illinois in 2014. He was 69. He said this was from his Wikipedia, "In my heart, I felt I was a combination of Groucho and Harpo Marx, of Groucho using his wit as a weapon against the upper classes, and of Harpo's antic charm and the fact that he was oddly sexy. He grabs women, pulls their skirts off, and gets away with it." He became a performer and head writer of SCTV, the Second City Television, in its first 3 years, that's 76 to 79. And then he was soon offered work as a writer for Saturday Night Live, but he chose to stay at Second City TV. Is that true, what he said there about, because that his influence then, Groucho and Harpo Marx?
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because in a sense you could see Rodney Dangerfield is kind of, in a sense, a Groucho in his own way. Very smart aleck, and he gets away with it. And the woman that Groucho was always foiled against, he was always the upper crust. That would be Ted Knight's character.
Oh, that'd be Ted Knight's
very similar, opposite of Dangerfield, and the opposite of
and there's usually a beautiful girl or
always,
and
of course
Sidney Morgan.
Sidney Morgan would be the beautiful girl, exactly. The love interest.
He also Ramis with Dan Aykroyd. They wrote the screenplay for Ghostbusters, correct?
Yes.
And the screenplay for Caddyshack was written by, partly written by Brian Doyle Murray, who was Bill Murray's brother.
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah, that's interesting. Ramis's films have been noted for attacking the smugness of institutional life with an impish goodwill that is unmistakably American. They are also noted for his signature tongue-in-cheek pep talks. Sloppiness and improv were also important aspects of his work. He frequently depicted the qualities of anger, curiosity, laziness, and woolly idealism in a hyper-articulate voice. That's from Tad Friend of a New Yorker article in 2007. Does that kind of describe how you approach this too?
That's probably true. I think that that was something about it, and a lot of his films had that. He was I'm maybe a counterculture person to some extent, you know, and a bit of a rebel, clearly, against authority,
and
which
is this
establishment. Yeah, exactly. Very much so.
So it falls into a lot of genres. I mean, it's a farce, it's a comedy of manners, it's anarchic, it's gross out, it's parody, it's romantic comedy.
Yeah, it has
screwball, slapstick, all those things are in there.
Absolutely.
Tell us other things about the event or about.
Well, you know what's interesting is I don't know if it was ESPN or it was, I think, one of the sports networks had voted, or maybe it might have even been the American Film Institute, as the most popular sports-themed movie ever made.
Oh, really?
Even though it's a crazy, insane comedy, I think it's the most popular sports-themed motion picture ever. And you would think, you know, something like Field of Dreams or this more serious sports movies. I think they kind of, maybe it's a separate category, but certainly one of the top comedies, obviously. But I think of all the sports genre films, I think this may be at the top of the list. It's because golf is certainly a sport, and it really did a lot for golf.
Sure.
It made golf became, you know, more mainstream. Not that it wasn't, and people kind of looked at it as an elitist, you know, game that Ted Knight's character plays, whereas Rodney Dangerfield is just a slob, but he's a rich guy, but he's a slob everyday dude. He could play golf too, you see, and hobnob with the slobs, or the snobs, pardon me. And so in that way, I think it kind of actually increased the popularity of golf too.
So, so you see this kind of a time capsule of the period too,
Oh, every film is, but yeah, like this certainly is, absolutely it is. Yeah, it's very much 1979, 1980, which will be, when we do this event in November, it will be like 40 years of the movie when it went into production, Cool. Hard to believe it's that old.
So, Cindy Morgan, what can you tell us about her?
Well, of course, she, after this, she was quite successful with Beau Bridges in Disney's Tron. And then in the 80s and the early 90s, and for a while, quite some time, several years anyway, she was a regular on the popular nighttime soap opera Falcon Crest.
Okay.
So she had quite a career with that. She had quite a long run with that. And she's had pretty full career. She's been in Love Boat and episodes. I mean, she goes the whole gamut, you know, TV, episodic television, guest appearances. And but her two big claim to fame certainly would be Caddyshack and then Tron. And then I never was a fan of the nighttime soap shows like the Dynasties and they're in Dallas, but Falcon Crest was right up there with the popularity, and she had quite a run on that too. So
and then
very interesting lady.
Ted Knight was famous for the Mary
Tyler Moore Show, yeah.
And Rodney Dangerfield, did he die shortly after this?
Oh
film,
he just died in the last 10 years.
Last 10 years or so. So what other films did he make after this?
Oh gosh, God, you know, you would have to ask me that. I'm blanking out. He did several.
But he hadn't done a whole lot before this, had he?
No, this is the breakthrough for him. He was a stand-up comedian, and Johnny Carson a lot, you know.
And he was like old school stand-up comedian.
Old school.
I mean, he'd been around for a while. This is kind of came late in his
middle age years.
Yeah.
In his 50s.
Is Bill Murray, is this one of the first times we see Bill Murray?
I think so. He hadn't made too many films before this that I can even think of. I'm trying to rack my brain now, but it's the one that, well, he did Stripes right after this.
Okay.
But this kind of was a breakthrough for him as far as getting away from just television and Saturday Night Live.
Cool. So again, this is going to be at Joslyn Art Museum Theater.
With the Spoon Hall Theater.
2200 Dodge Street.
22nd Dodge. Yeah.
This is November 8th. That's a Friday, 2019. Cindy Morgan will give a talk at the beginning, as usual.
She'll give a talk, and she'll probably take Q&A from people. And she's actually writing a book about the making of the film. Actually writing a book. She's probably doing more research on it and loves to meet with people. And she'll be selling things, and people can bring things. You know, there's a ton of Caddyshack memorabilia out there. And she'll be autographing, you know, and selling things as well during and after the film. But yeah, she'll do Q&A on stage, and a lot of fans of this movie will have a lot of fun hearing from someone who was, you know, a major character in the movie. And
you can find out more if you go to www.omahafilmevent.com. You can get tickets over the phone at 402-341-6559. Again, this is a benefit for HELP, H-E-L-P, which stands for
Health Equipment and Lawn Care Planning.
Health Equipment and Lawn Care Planning, Adult Services. So tickets are at Hy-Vee customer service counters, and they go on sale October 3rd. Bruce, this is your 45th event over the last 27 years.
Hard to believe.
And
we encourage people, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but if you want to come in golf attire, that would be fun.
Okay.
If you want to bring a golf club, I may go on stage with a golf club, and my girlfriend Judy, she's got a little puppet gophers from the movie. You collect when you push the button and it dances I'm All Right. And when I did the birds, I came out with a fake bird I gave Tippi Hedren, and I might give Cindy Morgan the gopher.
And if people have some Caddyshack memorabilia, she could certainly sign
there's
that.
tons of it out there. Yeah, oh yeah,
she'll
she'll be charging for autographs, but that's only fair enough. And again, it helps help.
All right. Well, I think we're going to play some clips from the film, maybe interspersed with the conversation. But I want to thank Bruce again for coming on the program, and encourage you to go see Caddyshack at the Jocelyn on November 8th.
Get your tickets early.
Get your tickets early. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again on Coming Attractions.
Welcome to the Bushwood Country Club. The membership's exclusive.
You think I'd join this crummy snobatorium?
The help is outrageous.
What?
The madness is contagious.
Bad language, fooling around on the course, poor caddying.
What, this whole place?
Caddyshack, starring Chevy Chase as Ty Webb,
Who is that disgusting man over there?
a sportsman who really knows how to score.
So, what brings you to this nape of the woods, neck of the wave? How come you're here?
Rodney Dangerfield as Al Servant, a big shot
My dinghy's bigger than your whole boat!
with an even bigger mouth.
Hey, somebody step on a duck?
Ted Knight as Judge Smales, a man of dignity and a sense of fair play.
I've sentenced boys younger than you to the gas chamber.
Michael O'Keefe as Danny Noonan, a caddy who wants an education and gets one.
You take drugs, Danny?
Every day.
Good.
Cindy Morgan as Lacey Underall. She's got a bad reputation, and she's working hard to keep it.
You want to tie me up with some of your ties?
And Bill Murray as Carl Spackler.
Just a harmless squirrel, not a plastic explosive or anything, nothing to be worried about.
He's not crazy about gophers, but he is crazy.
License to kill gophers by the government of the United Nations.
And introducing Mr. Gopher as himself.
I said freeze, gopher!
Caddyshack. It's all about swinging,
Kiss me, you fool.
but not on the course.
Hey, you want to make $14 the hard way?
Playing a good game
He got all of that one.
and talking a better one.
Hey, I should have stayed home and played with myself.
Taking shots
That was a bum shot.
and making time.
We couldn't possibly think less of each other.
Controlling your drives
Wow!
and losing your grip.
It is! You! Out!
Score. The man's a menace.
Caddyshack, the comedy with